Since December 31st, only 3 NBA teams have a higher winning percentage than the Dallas Mavericks, the Phoenix Suns, the Memphis Grizzlies, and the Boston Celtics. And in that same period of time, Luka Doncic has been playing the best basketball of his career on both ends of the floor. Yes, both ends of the floor. And despite this, I don't think people are valuing Dallas as the contenders they could prove to be. And it's the defensive end of the floor that I believe is the major key to Dallas's hopes at improving on their last 2 playoff exits. Because offensively, I could not care less what their offensive rating is during the regular season. Because come playoff time, I know Luka Doncic is going to create really good offense consistently. But before we talk about what Luka can do for this new look Mavs offense in the playoffs, let's talk about the defense and the significant improvement the Mavs have made to take their defense from the 20th ranked through the first 20 games of the season to now the 5th ranked over the last 60 games of the season. Because as you can see in the graphic, the Mavs have improved all across the board. And here's an example why. Reggie Bullock is guarding Drew Holiday out on the perimeter. Bobby Portis sets a screen to get Drew the more favorable Bertans matchup. Reggie goes to double, but importantly, Spencer Dinwiddie also slides over to prevent the open Portis 3. They then force Holiday to the baseline, in which he nearly turns the ball over, but Finney-Smith rotates over before Bertans comes in and gets a hand in all of this, leading to a transition 3 for Dinwiddie. Something the Mavs have done a lot better this season, ranking above average in transition, as opposed to right towards the bottom of the NBA last season. Now, a lot of Dallas's success defensively comes from them using their lack of size to their advantage, and this is where the Kristaps Porzingis trade is looking like a stroke of genius. And I'll be the first to say, I was very wrong about that trade. Very wrong. But let's not dwell on that, and let's talk about what they're doing defensively, because with this lack of size, you still have the versatility of the likes of Maxi Kleber and Dorian Finney-Smith. And Dorian Finney-Smith, let's just focus on him, because we saw he did a good job against Giannis. He can switch on to guards, he can switch on to bigs. You talk about those Swiss Army knives on defense, the likes of Aaron Gordon, Draymond Green, Ben Simmons, and those kind of guys. Dorian Finney-Smith's name should be in that same conversation. Not to mention what he does for this offense is also incredibly important. But we're not going to talk about the offense right now. Staying on the defensive end of the floor, the Mavs have shown a really nice ability to force pressure onto ball handlers before making quick rotations out to the 3-point line to prevent easy threes, which has been why their 3-point defense has been the best in the league. And I think a big factor in this, along with them not being too big and having guys that can switch multiple positions, is the continuity of this team. They've got a new head coach, they traded Porzingis, but the core group of players in Luka, Powell, Brunson, Kleber, and Finney-Smith, even Josh Green, have all spent a lot of time together. And defensively, the communication and rotations are the most important thing for this team, because this is a team without a true defensive superstar that can make up for any mistakes Dallas make on the perimeter. And that's why it's crucial that players 1 through 5 defend at a good level. And it's a good thing that their offensive superstar is doing exactly that. Because yes, for all those people still using the lazy and outdated narrative that Luka Doncic is a bad defender, that Luka Doncic will not defend and he will be exposed or he gets exposed defensively, that is false. He has become a solid, maybe even a good defender when you consider his size and the versatility he has as a guard defensively, and he has been a big piece in them turning into one of the best defenses in the league. But enough about the defense for now. Offensively, the Mavs haven't been at their best this season when you compare it to what they did the last few seasons, but as I mentioned before, I have this much concern about what their offense is going to look like in the playoffs because Luka Doncic. That is why. 13 playoff games, an average of 33, 9, and 9 on good efficiency against Kawhi Leonard and Paul George in both of those series. And I've got news for you guys. Good news at that. No team that the Mavs will face will have anywhere near that level of defense the Clippers had for Luka. Just for Luka. And if he was able to put up those numbers against that team, not to mention he's playing better in the regular season than he was at the same time last year and the year before, it's going to be scary. But this is where the Mavs trade for Spencer Dinwiddie is proving to be really smart. Last year in the playoffs, Dallas had an offensive rating of 120 when Luka was on the floor. That's not good, that is incredible. When he was off the floor, however, that dropped to an 89, which would have been by far the worst offense of any team in the postseason. Bringing in Spencer Dinwiddie, who has had a major resurgence in Dallas as a guy that can partner Jalen Brunson at times when Luka is on the bench, or run the offense solo with Maxi Kleber, and the improvement from Josh Green, maybe even Davis Bertans, among a combination of whichever starters remain in the game, should see the Mavs at least remain competent with Luka off the floor. And if we are basing things off last year, that's the difference between a first round exit and a second round berth for Dallas. But it's much more than just when Luka is on the bench. This is how teams defend Luka Doncic on a consistent basis, if you haven't realized. And in the postseason, that happens even more frequently. So Dallas's ability to now have one, two, or even all three of Dinwiddie, Luka, and Brunson out there at once means when Luka inevitably gets trapped, he can pass out of those traps to a secondary ball handler that can then collapse the defense and create open looks in a 4-on-3 setting. But it's not just Brunson and Dinwiddie creating those opportunities out of traps. Have you seen some of the passes Dorian Finney-Smith is making out of Luka Doncic traps? Heck, even Josh Green? This is all going to be crucial in aiding Luka Doncic when he's putting up 35 and 10 in the playoffs every single night. But before we talk a little bit more about Luka, not only do the Mavs have the extra ball handling now, and the improvement of Jalen Brunson as well, which should not be overlooked, because last year, Brunson struggled against the length of the Clippers, only playing 16 minutes a night. Just think about that. Jalen Brunson was only playing 16 minutes a night in last year's playoffs. He's inevitably going to be much better in the postseason, and he will be able to spend some minutes without Luka and with Luka, using his ability to collapse the defense, isolate against other guards, and score in a variety of clever ways using his low center of gravity but really strong frame. That's going to be crucial. But in addition to that, Dorian Finney-Smith, for the third straight season, has proven himself to be a very good three-point shooter, and since January, Reggie Bullock is shooting just under 40% from three on nearly 7 attempts a game. You pair that with Luka Doncic, who is at the top of his game, and the offense is going to fire in the playoffs. And here's an example of what Luka has been doing recently. Here he is casually drawing 4 defenders. Yes, all 4 defenders pressure Luka because of the threat he not only has as a scorer, but more importantly, as someone who can pass to the corners. However, with Holiday trailing to prevent Luka from isolating against Lopez, Luka is able to whip the pass over to Bertans for 3. Or how about Luka up against Giannis? He hits Giannis with a little stutter step to get Giannis on his side, and that forces Wesley Matthews to rotate over in an attempt to draw a charge, which Luka stops short of before putting the ball on a plate for Finney-Smith. Combining his absurd playmaking with the scoring boost that he always seems to find in the playoffs as he becomes really aggressive hunting mismatches, which can be any number of players on the floor. It can be a small guard in the post, it can be a big on the perimeter, it can be a wing, it doesn't matter. If he wants to hunt you, he will. Just ask Marcus Morris, just ask Patrick Beverley, just ask Terrence Mann. And with all of this being said, I think another thing that we should not overlook is Luka's three-point shooting. Luka is a high-volume three-point shooter in the playoffs and the regular season, and he has found his rhythm over the last 30 or so games. So heading into the playoffs, it is so important that he is knocking down shots at this rate, because that is what truly makes him unguardable, the three-point shot, in addition to everything else he does so well. Drop a like on the video if you enjoyed, subscribe to the channel if you made it all the way to the end, that would be appreciated. Have a great day, bye.